Most people think you have to ride clear across the country to get your money's worth out of an Amtrak Rail Pass. In this episode, I'm going to do the opposite. I'm using Washington, D.C. as my home base. I'm treating it as a zero-segment hub. And I'm breaking one pass into 4 separate parks and nature weekends all inside a single 30-day window. And then I'll show you how to swap one of those short weekends for a bigger 3-night Shenandoah upgrade. Without spending a single segment just getting to D.C. Let's get into it. Pass basics and zero-segment D.C. So here's the game plan. The Amtrak USA Rail Pass gives you 10 coach segments in 30 days. Every time you board a train, that's one segment. Most people burn a bunch of those just positioning to their starting city, and then they do one giant trip and collapse at the end. I'm not doing that. I'm starting in Washington, D.C., and I'm treating D.C. as a zero-segment hub. That means I'm not using the pass to get here at all. I either already live here, or I buy a separate ticket to position here before my 30-day window starts. Once the pass kicks in, every single segment is an actual trip, out of D.C. and back again. In this video, I'm going to spend 8 segments on 4 out and back, 2-night park and nature weekends, and I'll keep 2 segments in my back pocket for a 3-night Shenandoah long weekend that can replace any one of those shorter trips. And remember, D.C. itself is already a bonus module. You've got the National Mall, the big memorials, Smithsonian museums, and even pieces of the C&O Canal you can hit with your feet or the metro. You don't need the pass for any of that. So the pass is for everything beyond D.C. D.C. is your free starting point. Weekend 1, Harpers Ferry Rivers and Cliffs. Weekend number 1 is all about the classic Harpers Ferry escape. From Washington Union Station, I catch a short run out into West Virginia. That outbound ride is my first segment on the pass, and it drops me into a town that looks like a movie set. Steep streets, historic buildings, and railroad bridges spanning 2 rivers. As soon as you step off the train, you've got options. There's Harpers Ferry National Historical Park for history and streetscapes. There are trails up to viewpoints like Maryland Heights if you want those big sweeping views. And you've got the C&O Canal towpath in the rivers if you're more into gentle walks and water shots. My plan for this weekend is simple. Night 1, I check in, grab some golden hour B-roll of the bridges in town, and do an evening walk along the river. Day 2 is my big adventure. Either a hike up to a viewpoint, or a full day mixing historic sites with canal-side walking. Day 3, I have a slow morning, maybe one last pass through the historic core, and then I hop back on the train to D.C., using my second segment. It's a full Friday to Sunday escape that feels like you've left the city completely behind, and you've only used 2 of your 10 segments. Weekend 2, Cumberland Trails and Mountain Valley. Weekend number 2 takes me farther into the mountains to Cumberland, Maryland. For this one, I ride west from D.C. along the Potomac Valley on one of the long-distance routes that stops in Cumberland. That westbound leg is my 3rd segment. The ride itself is part of the experience. Rivers, hills, and classic railroad scenery rolling by outside the window. Cumberland is a small city with big outdoors energy. It's where the C&O Canal towpath meets the Great Allegheny Passage, so you've got a ton of easy access to bike and walking trails right from town. You've also got nearby state parks and ridges if you want short hikes and overlooks. Night 1, I settle into a hotel near downtown and get some evening shots of the historic streets, bridges, and any visible trains. Day 2 is my big trail day. I can rent a bike, or just walk. Long stretches along the canal, tunnels, river views, all with that mountain valley backdrop. If I want a bit more variety, I can split the day between the trail and a quick trip to a nearby park or overlook. On day 3, I grab coffee in town, shoot a few more establishing shots, and then ride the train back to D.C. for my 4th segment. So after 2 weekends, I've used 4 segments and I've already done rivers and cliffs at Harpers Ferry plus trails and mountains around Cumberland, without touching a car. Weekend 3, coastal escape, Norfolk, tidewater. Weekend number 3 changes direction completely. Now I'm heading for the coast. From D.C. I catch a train southeast toward Tidewater, Virginia. Think Norfolk or a similar coastal city that works with your schedule. That outbound ride is segment number 5. This weekend is all about water, harbors, boardwalks, ships, and sea air. Night 1, I arrive, drop my bag, and head straight for the waterfront. I want shots of the harbor, boats, maybe a naval backdrop, and some evening boardwalk or city lights footage. Day 2 is my coastal escape day. Depending on how you travel, that might mean harbor cruise or ferry, a short side trip to a nearby beach, or just a full day walking the waterfront, piers, and parks that line the bay. It's less about big hikes and more about giving you that salt air weekend feeling you can reach by train. On day 3, I make my way back to the station and ride north to DC for my 6th segment. By the time I get home Sunday, I've done mountains, rivers, and coast in just 3 weekends. Weekend 4. Richmond riverfront and trails. Weekend number 4 brings it back inland for a River City angle in Richmond. Once again, I leave from Union Station in DC on a Friday and head south by train. That's my 7th segment. A couple of hours later, I'm stepping into a city that mixes history, murals, good food, and a serious riverfront. Richmond works for this episode because it gives you a different kind of nature. You've got rapids and rocks right in the middle of the James River, with trails and bridges that let you get river-level shots with the skyline behind you. Night 1. I walk the historic districts and the riverfront, grab some golden hour light on the bridges. Day 2 is my urban nature day. I'll spend time on the river trails, clamber out onto the rocks if conditions are safe, and capture that mix of water, greenery, and downtown in the background. You can always weave in a little history or food as you like. Day 3, it's another slow morning, then back on the train to DC for my 8th segment. At this point, if I wanted to keep things simple, I could call the pass done. 4 different 2-night weekends, 8 segments used, DC still my 0-segment home base. Optional 3-night Shenandoah long weekend. But I've still got 2 segments left, and this is where the Shenandoah upgrade comes in. Instead of doing all 4 weekends as short Friday to Sunday trips, you can take any one of them and turn it into a 3-night Shenandoah-style long weekend, using your final 2 segments. Here's how that looks. On your long weekend, you still start at Washington Union Station. You use 1 segment on the pass to ride down to a gateway town, somewhere that has good access to Shenandoah National Park and Skyline Drive. From there, you use a local shuttle, a tour, or a rideshare to get up toward the park. Because you've carved out an extra night, you're not rushed. You can spend 1 full day focused on overlooks and short hikes along Skyline Drive, and another day mixing a more relaxed morning in the park with time back in your gateway town, maybe wineries, breweries, or just slowing down. On your final day, you head back to the train station and ride to DC on your last segment. Same pass math, 2 segments for an out and back trip, but with 3 nights on the ground instead of 2. It feels like a true mini vacation inside your 30-day window. How to swap it in? So, how do you fit that into the 4-weekend structure? Think of the pass as 10 rides, not 4 trips. The basic version of what I just laid out is Weekend 1 Harpers Ferry, Weekend 2 Cumberland, Weekend 3 Coastal Escape, Weekend for Richmond. Each one is a 2-night, out-and-back trip from DC that uses 2 segments. 4 weekends, 8 segments total. If you want the Shenandoah long weekend, you just pick one of those 4 and swap it out. Instead of, say, the Richmond weekend, you schedule a 3-night Shenandoah trip during that same 30-day pass period. You still use only 2 segments on the pass for that weekend. 1 out of DC, 1 back to DC. You're just spending more time at that destination. So you get choice. 4 quick, bite-sized park weekends, or 3 short weekends plus 1 bigger, deeper mountain escape. Who this is for? This DC Parks and Nature version of the USA Rail Pass is for a very specific traveler. You either live in or near DC already, or you're happy to position here once on a separate ticket. After that, you want every single ride on the pass to be a real trip, not just a positioning move. You've got a Monday through Friday life, and you're trying to squeeze the maximum amount of outdoors into a normal calendar, 3 or 4 2-night weekends, and the option to turn one into a bigger 3-night reset in the mountains. If that sounds like you, steal the structure. Copy my 4 weekends exactly, or mix and match your own destinations as long as you keep the same idea. DC is your 0-segment hub, and every segment moves you to or from a place you actually want to explore. In a separate episode, I'm going to do this again from DC, but focused on pure city breaks: New York, Philly, Boston, and a bigger southern city as the long weekend upgrade. If this gave you ideas for your own Rail Pass weekends out of DC, hit like, subscribe, and tell me in the comments which of these trips you'd book first, and whether you'd spend your extra time at the coast, in the mountains, or up on Skyline Drive. I'm keen on the rails. Thanks for watching. And I'll see you on the next train out of DC.